One of the most important and valiant things that I taught my daughters as they were growing up was from Matthew 25, 40 to 45. So Matthew chapter 25, verses 40 to 45. And that's about protecting the weak. And it's about what we do to the weak, we also do to God. And what we do for the weak, we also do for God. And what we don't do for the weak, we also don't do for God. Let's talk about that. Now, unfortunately, in our world, it's very easy to get caught up in picking on the weak or ignoring the weak or acting like the weak don't even exist. And I'm going to give you definitions of weak, what I mean by that. But in our culture in America, I think probably other countries as well, it starts really young. It starts when you're 2 or 3 years old, because it's that strong survive kind of mentality. You've got the aggressive kids and you've got the weaker kids. The aggressive kids are become bullies or get all the toys or take things. The weaker kids are left without. They're left crying. They're left hurt. They're the ones that gets punched. They're the ones who just grow up a little meek. It can start as early as 2 or 3 years old. And when you get into elementary school, and it really starts becoming a little more vast than that. The weak kind of defines itself into other areas. And then middle school, oh my gosh, with peer pressure and bullying that comes to play. And then high school, when we grow up, it's tough. It is not easy. So I wanted to teach my girls how important it was to always stand up for the weak. So I'm going to break the weak into categories to let you know what I'm talking about. Number one, and this is in no particular order, people with special needs or who are mentally challenged, Down syndrome or autism. That would be an example of weak to me. And I've seen it when I was growing up. We had autistic kids, we had Down syndrome kids in our school who were just that, that special needs and challenged. And sadly enough, you've got two categories of people. One that bully those people and make fun of them and single them out and call them out or talk behind their back or imitate them behind their backs. Then you've got another group of people who just totally ignore them because they don't know how to act. They don't know. They're not that level of meanness to where they would go after them or talk about them or imitate them, but they don't know really what to do, so they just ignore them. I challenged my girls when they were growing up to be the person who would befriend those kind of people. So they would befriend the special needs to let them know, because they can talk, they've got brains. It's a different level, and it's a little more of a challenge to communicate. But look them in the eye. Give them appreciation. Give them love. Let them know that they're validated. Let them know that they are a person. They're valued and they're validated, and that their opinion matters. Just let them know that, hey, have a good day. Or talk normal, like, hey, this is cool. I love those shoes, what you got on. That's really awesome. Something just normal. The main thing that special needs people want and desire is to be treated like everybody else. They want to be talked to and validated like everybody else and appreciated like everybody else. So I wanted to let my girls know that that was super important to be able to do that. A second category is just different people. And this really exposes itself in middle school and high school, horribly so. Unfortunately, as adults, there's people who are just that small-minded to pick on different people. And what I mean by different people is maybe you're too skinny, maybe you're too heavy, maybe you've got thick eyebrows, maybe you're a little cross-eyed, maybe you've got a big nose, maybe you have acne, maybe you walk funny, maybe you have a speech impediment. There's so many things that could be different about people. And unfortunately, that same category of people pop up. You've got the bullies who pick on them, single them out, or talk about them, imitate them behind their backs. Or you've got the people who just don't know what to do, so they just totally ignore different people, and they don't really invite them into the friend circle, the inner circle, the peer group. They just ignore them and leave them as outcasts. But I wanted to challenge my girls as well. Befriend different people. God made us all, and we're all precious in His sight. It's only through our eyes what we deem to be beautiful or perfect or good looking or handsome or pretty or gorgeous. Any of that stuff is just man-made things. God, we're all precious in His sight. So I wanted to take that blindness into my daughters, because I think that God smiles in heaven when we reach into a different person's life and we love on them, we cherish them, we bring them into the circle, we validate them, we let them be heard. I think that when we do things like that, God smiles, because He does say in Matthew, that which you do to the least of these, you also do to me. And that which you don't do for the least of these, you don't do for me. So we need to look at different people, special people, as God's children, just like we all are. And we need to look at them as a reflection of Him. And how would we treat Him if He were in our presence? Would we ignore Him? Would we bully Him? Would we imitate Him behind our back? I don't think so. I think we would be pouring out love and serving Him and validating Him. Another category is older people. When we get old, unfortunately, sometimes in societies, we get forgotten about. We just get kind of put to the wayside, maybe put in a nursing home. There's so many older people in nursing homes who have no family to come visit them, to come love on them, to come serve them, to come talk with them, let them tell stories to them. So older people, I always wanted to teach my daughters to respect older people, to love on them, to care for them, to validate them, to listen to their stories, to ask them things so that they could share their stories. And in public, if you ever see an older person that just needs help, getting out of a car, getting through a door, getting in a doorway, carrying groceries out, whatever it is, always step up and look for those opportunities to serve older people, because they are weaker in the general sense of things, and they do need that love and attention. And I think that when we do that for older people and we serve them, we are serving God. And of course, poor people are weak. So the homeless on the street, or somebody who's a single mom, or just somebody who's going through a rough time, poor people fall into that category too. Do you talk about them? Do you make fun of them? Do you ignore them? Or do you serve them? Do you do things for them? Do you maybe pay their mortgage one month, buy groceries for them, show up, give them, whatever attention that you can to let them know that they're loved and they're not forgotten? Poor people also need your help. And here's a challenge that I give you. I know that it's tough on the street when you see homeless people who just want to be homeless, or maybe they're strung out on drugs, and if I give them $5, they're going to spend that on drugs. Instead of giving them $5, why don't you bring them a meal? Why don't you get a meal and bring that to them? Why don't you bring a coat or a new pair of shoes, or just a pair of shoes, something, a pair of pants, anything? Just give that to them. What are they going to do with it? They're going to appreciate it, and they're going to have that because you gave it to them, and they're going to really love the fact that you did that. Yeah, if you give them money, here's where the line is drawn. If you give them money, you've done your part. What they do with that is on them. Whether or not you gave anything is on you. So you can also look at it that way. If you don't have the coat, the time, the food, the shoes, if you don't have that and all you have is money, once you give that blessing to that person, you've done your job. What they do with it is up to them, unfortunately, and that is really sad. So I would encourage you to love on poor people, love on poor families, love on the homeless, serve them, validate them, look them in the eye, let them know that they're loved and they're not forgotten, because what we do for the least of these, we also do for God. And lastly, man, this is so unfortunate that it should actually not even be on the list. But there are people who bully animals. Animals are in the weak category sometimes. If you have a dog or a cat or a hamster or a bird or a fish, people, unfortunately, will bully animals. So, man, that is one thing that I poured into my kids, that all living things are God's creatures. They're His creation. He took the time to make that. He took the time to design that and give them the little personality, whatever it is that they have, whatever animal it is, whatever shape, whatever size, whatever color, whatever their eye color is, whatever their little personality is. God gave that to them. So treat them with respect. Love animals. And if you ever see a case where an animal is getting abused or treated poorly or ignored or left out in the cold, or just beaten or reprimanded too harshly for something, step in, step up, and have a voice and let them know that that is wrong, and love on that little animal. Because, why? That which you do for the least of these, you also do for me. So that is the lesson for today. Protect the weak. All the categories of weakness that I just laid out, ask yourself, do a little self-evaluation. Am I in category number one where oh, wow, this is tough. I hope you're not. You're bullying these people. You're making fun of these people. You're gossiping behind their backs. You're laughing when you see somebody different or poor or heavy or special, and you laugh behind their back, or you make faces or make fun, or even don't reprimand your friends if they do that also, then you're just as guilty. If you don't reprimand a friend for being a bully, then you're just as guilty of bullying as they are. Or are you in that second category where you just ignore these people? You think, well, you know what, I'm not horrible enough to be a bully to them or to talk behind their back. So really, I'm just, you know, they stay on their side and I'll stay on my side. Well, that's not good either. That's not good at all. You need to be proactive, step out of your comfort zone, and love on the weak. Find the special people, the different people, the poor people, the older people. Find these groups of people. Seek them out when you're in your daily walk, and take a moment to step out of your comfort zone, love on them, validate them, look them in the eye, say something to normalize them, because most all of them just want to be loved. They want to be validated just like we all do. And they want to be heard. So do that. Look them in the eye and say, hey, I appreciate you today. Hey, I hope you have a great day. Hey, God bless you, man. Whatever it is that you can do for them to validate them, do that. So that's my challenge to you today. That's what I wanted to give my daughters as they were growing up. I wanted to plant that in their minds, that they are in a position to be able to serve the weak, and to let them know whatever they do or whatever they don't do for the weak, they're also doing or not doing for God. So I lay that challenge to you today, and I thank you so much for stopping by. If you like stuff like this, please subscribe to the channel. I am greatly appreciative of my audience. And I want you to write me comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on this video. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know what's happening in your world that I can relate to as far as this goes, serving the weak. Well, let me know your thoughts on serving the weak, and if you've had any personal experiences with it as well. Thank you so much, and have a fantastic day.